History of the United States of America. America navigated through the crisis of the 1980s, emerging as the sole superpower through a combination of strategic decisions, economic reforms, and global political shifts. Ronald Reagan, elected in 1980, implemented bold economic policies known as Reaganomics, which emphasized deregulation, tax cuts, and increased military spending. These measures aimed to stimulate economic growth and enhance America's military capabilities, crucial for countering Soviet influence globally, particularly in Afghanistan. Reagan's leadership during challenging times, including surviving an assassination attempt in 1981, bolstered national confidence and resolve. Simultaneously, the Soviet Union faced its own economic and political challenges, exacerbated by its costly involvement in Afghanistan. The Afghan conflict served as a quagmire for the Soviets, draining their resources and eroding morale. America, seizing the opportunity, provided support to Afghan resistance fighters known as the Mujahideen, including weapons, training, and financial aid. This covert assistance weakened the Soviet position in Afghanistan and contributed to their eventual withdrawal in 1989. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 further solidified America's status as the dominant global power. The end of the Cold War ushered in a unipolar world order, where the United States emerged as the preeminent superpower, both economically and militarily. American ideals of democracy, capitalism, and individual freedom gained greater prominence on the world stage, shaping global politics and economics for decades to come. Furthermore, advancements in technology, particularly in communication and information technology, bolstered America's economic prowess and influence. The rise of Silicon Valley and the internet revolutionized industries and facilitated globalization, further enhancing America's economic strength and soft power. On March 30, 1981, in Washington, D.C., President Ronald Reagan was exiting a hotel when he became the target of an assassination attempt. The assailant, John Hinckley, was driven by a disturbed obsession with actress Jodie Foster, stemming from her role in the film Taxi Driver. In this movie, the protagonist attempts but fails to assassinate a presidential candidate. Hinckley fixated on the delusion that by killing the American president, he could win Foster's affection and possibly even become her romantic partner. Tragically, Hinckley's delusions led him to open fire on President Reagan, injuring him with a bullet to the chest that penetrated his left lung. Despite the severity of his injuries, Reagan remained remarkably composed and even retained his sense of humor. Remarkably, despite being shot, the 70-year-old president managed to walk into George Washington University Hospital under his own power, demonstrating resilience and resolve in the face of adversity. Aside from the president, 3 other individuals were wounded in the shooting. The incident not only highlighted the vulnerability of public figures, but also underscored the dangers posed by individuals grappling with severe mental health issues. Hinckley's misguided actions left a lasting impact on American society, prompting discussions about mental health awareness and the need for improved security measures for public officials. In March 1981, President Ronald Reagan faced a dire situation when he was shot in an assassination attempt by John Hinckley, driven by a disturbing infatuation with actress Jodie Foster. Despite being wounded, Reagan maintained his characteristic humor, quipping to his wife, Nancy, and later to doctors, showcasing resilience even in the face of danger. His rapid recovery astonished medical professionals, and within a month, Reagan returned to the White House. Reagan's Hollywood background, having starred in over 50 films, added a unique layer to the incident, as the victim of a movie-inspired shooting was himself a former movie star. Meanwhile, Hinckley's mental instability spared him from facing a murder trial, leading to his institutionalization for 4 decades as he struggled to overcome the movie scene that triggered his violent act. The assassination attempt highlighted Reagan's courage and leadership, qualities he would demonstrate again during the air traffic controller's strike in August 1981. Faced with a crippling strike that disrupted thousands of flights, Reagan issued a 48-hour ultimatum for employees to return to work. When they refused, he took decisive action, firing over 11,000 striking workers and replacing them with new recruits, demonstrating his commitment to upholding the country's interests and maintaining essential services. However, Reagan's most significant challenge was the economic turmoil plaguing the nation. In 1981, unemployment soared to over 8 million, accompanied by soaring interest rates and rampant inflation. These policies, collectively known as Reaganomics, aimed to revitalize the economy and unleash the potential of American businesses, laying the groundwork for a period of sustained economic growth and prosperity. During Ronald Reagan's presidency in the 1980s, his economic policies, famously termed Reaganomics, aimed to stimulate economic growth through tax cuts, deregulation, and reduced government spending. The cornerstone of Reaganomics was the belief that lowering taxes would encourage investment, leading to job creation and increased tax revenues, ultimately balancing the budget. This approach, often described as trickle-down economics, posited that benefits to wealthy investors would eventually flow down to benefit the broader population. Reaganomics saw significant economic expansion during Reagan's tenure, with soaring investment and stock market growth. The proliferation of fast food chains, the rise of millionaires, and the explosion of technology, including the advent of Microsoft's Windows operating system, characterized this period. However, Reaganomics also widened the wealth gap, with cuts to social welfare programs like Social Security and housing financing, leaving many Americans without adequate health care or housing. He significantly increased defense spending, bolstering the U.S. military with a focus on naval expansion and the Strategic Defense Initiative, popularly known as Star Wars. This ambitious project aimed to develop advanced missile defense systems to counter potential nuclear threats, utilizing technologies like lasers and satellites. Under Reagan's leadership, the U.S. defense budget more than doubled, and the Navy saw substantial expansion, including the addition of new aircraft carriers. The Strategic Defense Initiative reflected Reagan's commitment to ensuring America's security in the face of evolving global threats, showcasing his proactive approach to defense strategy. Overall, Reaganomics brought about substantial economic growth, but also exacerbated socioeconomic inequalities. Concurrently, Reagan's defense initiatives aimed to fortify America's position on the world stage, emphasizing both economic prosperity and national security during his presidency. Despite President Reagan's ambitious defense initiatives, such as the Strategic Defense Initiative, Star Wars, technical challenges, and budget constraints led to its eventual failure. However, two missile defense projects initiated during his tenure, the THAAD and Patriot missile defense systems, proved successful and remain vital components of U.S. and allied security today. Alongside efforts to bolster U.S. military strength, Reagan pursued a strategy to make Afghanistan a quagmire for the Soviet Union akin to Vietnam. He supplied arms to the Afghan Mujahideen, forging alliances with Pakistan's military dictator, General Zia-ul-Haq, who emphasized Pakistan's crucial role as a frontline state in countering Soviet expansion. Reagan supported Zia-ul-Haq's regime despite its authoritarian nature, recognizing its strategic importance in confronting Soviet influence in the region. Despite General Zia's assurance to President Reagan that Pakistan would not pursue nuclear weapons, Pakistan continued its nuclear program, in fact known to the Americans. However, due to Pakistan's crucial role in the Soviet-Afghan War, the U.S. overlooked this development. Reagan fostered strong relations with Afghan leaders, openly supporting their resistance against Soviet occupation and providing them with modern weaponry, including shoulder-mounted Stinger missiles in 1986. These missiles played a significant role in the conflict, with the Mujahideen reportedly shooting down numerous Soviet aircraft. While some credit the Stinger missiles with forcing Soviet withdrawal, modern researchers suggest that internal Soviet dynamics, particularly under Gorbachev, played a more decisive role in the decision to leave Afghanistan. During Ronald Reagan's presidency, the United States embarked on a multifaceted strategy to counter Soviet influence, particularly in Afghanistan. Reagan provided significant support to Afghan Mujahideen, supplying them with modern weaponry, including Stinger missiles to combat Soviet forces. Concurrently, negotiations led to the Geneva Accords, facilitating the withdrawal of Soviet troops from Afghanistan by February 1989. This marked a significant defeat for the Soviet Union, ultimately contributing to its collapse in 1991 and the end of the Cold War. Reagan's assertive foreign policy and strategic alliances played a pivotal role in reshaping global dynamics, solidifying America's position as the sole superpower. However, amidst this victory, America swiftly transitioned to another conflict, the Gulf War in 1990, underscoring its penchant for military interventions even after the Cold War's end. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon.